Let's dive into how low self-esteem feels like from the inside and how it can slowly but surely destroy even healthy and happy relationships. I will use Mark Darcy and Bridget Jones from iconic movie Bridget Jones Diary as our case study. Hi, my name is Anna and I'm certified relationship coach based in Germany. On this channel, I explore relationship dynamics through popular movies and TV shows, helping you understand complex psychological patterns using well-known characters and stories. In this video, we'll talk about Bridget Jones Diary. And right from the beginning of the movie, it's clear what Bridget's issues are and where they come from. In the very first scenes, we see that within her family, Bridget's personal boundaries are completely ignored. Just look at that uncle who grabs her butt and asks inappropriate questions. And Bridget doesn't push back. If anything, she tries to smooth the whole situation over. I'm not usually a fan of blaming parents for everything, but Bridget's mother is a textbook case of toxic dynamics. Film opens up with Pamela trying to set Bridget up with men she knows. Even if it seems well-intentioned, parents shouldn't jump into their adult children's love lives uninvited. But that honestly isn't the biggest problem here. The deeper issue is that Pamela has no parent-child boundaries. She talks to Bridget like a girlfriend, and not a healthy one. She acts if she always knows the best and doesn't respect Bridget's own opinions. For example, comments about Bridget's clothes, saying she will never get married dressed like, quote, wandered out of Auschwitz. That's really wow, no comments here. And of course, her mom has already laid out an outfit she thinks is better, because whatever Bridget chooses, her mother's taste is unquestionably better. And Bridget is so used to her opinion not mattering that she doesn't even resist. She doesn't like the outfit, but she changes anyway and goes to the guest. That's a really sad story here. And then Pam even discusses her intimate life with Bridget's father, saying that raising his children wasn't exactly interesting. And worst of all, Pamela talks to Bridget about her own sexual affair with her lover. This is a nightmare of parent-child dynamic, and it helps explain Bridget's low self-esteem, weak boundaries, her poor sense of what's appropriate to share, and why she keeps making mistakes in her love life. Speaking about mistakes in the love life, let's have a look at Bridget's and Mark Darcy's relationship. How does the film begin? Bridget starts a diary and lists the kinds of men she doesn't want to date. The story steers our attention towards her boss, Daniel, so it's easy to miss one key deal breaker she names: the workaholic. She wants nothing to do with one. And who is the Mark Darcy? Exactly, a workaholic. You don't need to be a fortune teller. Bridget knew from the start she doesn't want that, yet she still ended up with Mark Darcy, who never hit that work came first for him. Even on that weekend at the lake house, Mark shows up with a partner from his law firm and they are working while out on the boat. And he didn't change once they were together. Looking back, that's precisely what undercuts Bridget and Mark. Bridget resented him for being exactly who she was. They spend about 10 years together, Bridget isn't happy in this relationship and they break up. No miracle happened. But why then she starts a romantic relationship with Darcy in the first place? Bridget got involved with Mark largely because of her low self-esteem. In the first film, their early interactions are mostly negative. He makes her uncomfortable. That famous confession scene even begins with Bridget saying, "Every time we meet, you got out of your way to make me feel like a complete idiot." But then Mark says that he actually likes Bridget the way she is. And that alone is enough for her to start considering him as a romantic partner. In other words, Bridget doesn't choose someone who might actually make her happy. She goes with a man who gives her attention. In the second film, when Bridget is dating Mark, this theme unfolds even more. Look at Bridget. She idealized Darcy in her head, already fixating on him from day one. She keeps thinking, what an amazing man, watching him sleep. Looks romantic, but the moment she opens her mouth, out comes a tornado of criticism. She almost never gives him compliments. Instead, she puts him and his friends down, often really harshly. And remember the lawyer's event? She takes personal shots at people in the room, calling them brainless stories. but then complains she will never fit in with that crowd and expects one of them to propose. Or when Bridget suspects she might be pregnant, it becomes clear that she and Mark have very different ideas about raising children, something fundamental in any relationship. And Bridget doesn't hesitate to criticize Mark, saying, in other words, she definitely wouldn't want children like him. We sympathize with Bridget because we see her inner world and her insecurities. But from Mark Darcy's perspective, she is a walking red flag. Bridget feels not enough. She tries to prop herself up with biting remarks to show everyone else isn't so great either. Like, let me calm your flaws, darling, because I can't deal with mine. People with low self-esteem often try to even the score. What does it mean? First, they idealize you in their head, and then they devalue you in real life, bringing you down so they feel equal. The flip side is very common too. Women end up in a relationship with men criticize them, and the roots are here the same: low self-esteem. And Bridget Jones Diary is such a good example of the world, how the world looks like from the insecure person side. Let's be honest, it's hard for both, but if you are in a relationship with someone like this, it's not your job to fix them. It's not your job to heal their self-esteem. You just simply can't do it. And then there's a scene in the second film where Bridget talks about her worries, how she sees the situation. She desperately wants a proposal from Mark, but she wants that not because she feels good with him. She wants that for the validation of him wanting to propose. Only then briefly she would feel good enough for him for a moment. And just a quick note, they are together for about 8 weeks. Because of her insecurity, Bridget feels triggered and lashes out at Mark, listing his flaws. You're not so perfect after all. But Mark never tells her she needs to lose weight or that there's something wrong with her legs. He likes her the way she is. Those are Bridget's insecurities, and she's projecting them onto him. And here's the tricky part. People with low self-esteem often doesn't see how they really act. Nobody can see behind the scenes of their heads and insecurities. Why would Mark want to marry Bridget if she's constantly criticizing him? Mark can't read minds. From what she says, he sounds like someone she doesn't even like. The desire to marry doesn't come from beating someone over the head with criticism 100 times. Then comes Bridget's epic line. See, you don't even want to fight for me. Translation? What she really means is you don't want to fight with me. Not for me, there weren't any outside obstacles keeping them apart. She wants him to argue her out of her own beliefs, convince her she is wonderful, even while she is tearing herself and him down. Convince her she deserves love and attention. Convince her she is good, when deep down she's sure she's not enough. Sadly or luckily, as already said, in a healthy relationship, it isn't our partner's job to battle our insecurities. A good and loving partner will support you on that journey, but he or she can't do all the work for you. So yes, that was a deep dive into the paradoxes of low self-esteem. I hope you enjoyed the video. What do you think about Bridget and Mark as a couple? Let me know in the comments. And who should I do next? I'm really enjoying making analysis and videos for you. So please subscribe, and I see you in the next video. Bye bye.